Hi, my name is Cathryn Taylor. I've been in the helping profession since 1971. I started out by working with teenagers in the San Francisco Bay Area in group homes, and that was really where I feel like I got my real education, because there's nothing that I didn't see there. And there were moments when I had to find, if I were going to be at all successful, where I really had to find a compassion in my heart, not only for the teenagers that I was working with, and that I was in charge of helping change their lives, but I really had to find a compassion for the parents who basically were either neglecting them or abusing them, and all of that parental interaction was what resulted in these kids getting into the system in the first place. But what I found out very early on is that I could not help any of those kids if I took an antagonistic approach to their parents. It taught me a great deal about compassion. It taught me a great deal about addictions. It taught me a great deal about the interplay between not only our biological children and who we are as parents, or about me as the child of an adult, but also about our relationship to the children within us. It was about that time that I had gotten my master's in psychology. I was a social worker in the group homes, and I decided that I wanted to expand my education, and I went back and I got my certificate in addictions. After that, I started working in the field of recovery. Very quickly into that field, I recognized that under all of our addictive behaviors, beyond the biochemical aspect of it, the mental health, the emotional piece of our addictions always took us back to what we experienced in childhood, and some maladaptive way that we were responding to life's events in adulthood. What I began to kind of put together is that under our addictive behavior was unresolved grief and fear and shame and abandonment and betrayal. And if we could follow those experiences back to that child within, back to that wounded self, then we could begin to unravel that. We could begin as an adult to respond to that innocent, wounded self who kept kind of in a knee-jerk reaction, sabotaging us from our ultimate goals. Now, all of this kind of played out in me working in the field of addictions for many years, and as I said earlier, that's kind of when I introduced the material that I brought through on the inner child, and that was in the mid-'80s. So my inner child workbook was one of about 5 that came out in the middle of the 80s and kind of helped break the ground for that. But basically, we have to give John Bradshaw credit for really opening the door with that. But then there were about 4 other authors, and I was one of them, who really brought an aspect of the inner child to the forefront. And that material is still out there. It's been perceived in a lot of different ways. But every place you look, you are going to be acknowledging and recognizing that the actions that you're taking today were based on your experiences of yesterday. And who you're going to be tomorrow is based on the blueprints that you're putting in operation today. So it behooves all of us to learn how to befriend that saboteur.